In this tutorial, we create a slow-mo effect with the cloth simulation onto our object over here. Let me show you how it looks. View animation. We take you every step of the way to show you how to make the cloth simulation move a lot slower like this. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, the first thing you want to do is select your default cube, press X, delete, Shift A, and we're going to make use of the monkey head, also known as Suzanne. Right click, shade smooth, and we're going to add subdivision surface modifier on level 2. Once you've done that, you can press numpad 1, and Suzanne is looking good in front orthographic view. Let's quickly give Suzanne a material, but before we do, let's go to over here into our physics properties and click on collision, then go to material, change to material viewport, and let's make Suzanne a hologram to make this super weird looking, hopefully, and change this to shader editor, press new, scroll in, click on principled BSDF and press X to delete, press Shift A, go to shader, and we're going to make use of a mix shader. You want to connect the surface into the factor, and then you want to press Shift A and use an emission texture over here, and Shift A, shader, transparent, BSDF over here, and don't forget to change the blender mode to alpha blend, and Shift A. In the search bar, type in layer weight. Here we go. And connect the facing over here and make this 0.9. Here we go. That's looking like a pretty good hologram to me. Let's change the color to something more interesting and give it a strength of 30. Not 0.30. Alright, let's view this in render view. It's apparently how it looks in render view. And press numpad 1 for front orthographic view, and press Shift A and add a plane. Press S5 to scale it. Press G to grab it, Z on the Z axis, and 2. And now we need to do one thing over here. Let's go to our modifiers, add modifier, subdivision surface, simple, chuck this on 6 on both ends. Once you've done that, go to your physics properties, click on cloth simulation, and let's give this a material as well. Only this time we remove principled BSDF and we press Shift A, shader. We're going to add a glossy shader into the surface and make a glossy of 0.15. Oh, 0.15. There we go. And give an environmental texture. You can go to hdrhaven.com to download one. I might not actually have one. Alright, I have to download one now. Find one that you like. I will use this one over here. And 1K should be more than fine for me. 2K would probably be a little bit better, although it's not really needed for what I'm doing. Alright, now that we got this downloaded, go back into Blender, click on downloads and choose that scene. Give it a few seconds to load, and if you press spacebar, we can watch this play out. Spacebar to pause, right click, shade smooth, and currently you still see some of these pixels, so what we can do is add another subdivision surface modifier, that happens after the cloth simulation. 3 should be more than enough. There we go. And perhaps let's make this gold. Change this back to our timeline. Go back to keyframe 1. Numpad 1. So this would be an example of a physical hologram. One day the future might have this. Control Shift Numpad 0 to get the camera here. Click on your camera, press G to move it. Something like that should be fine. You can see it's a hologram. We press spacebar to play. The biggest problem we have at the moment, if you really think about it, number one, let's just speed this up just for this render here. The way we do that is we select this. And what we can do is just disable it in the viewport, not the render. So when we play this out, it moves a lot faster. The problem with this is that it's moving too fast for the slow-mo effect. So there's just one more thing we need to do for the slow-mo effect to work. So let's pause that. Number one, you can change it over here, the end scene over here. So let's make it 1,500 frames. And then we have to go to the actual cloth simulation physics properties. And we need to go to the catch. Change this to 1,500. And we also want to change the speed of the simulation to maybe something slower, like 0.1. You can go even slower if you prefer, but I think that should be good. And I'm just going to bake it in. And I'll see you after the bake is complete. Alright, so the cache is complete. It's about 200 megabytes in the cache of RAM that's being used. Let's press play, and we can see this move slowly down. And essentially at frame 160 is where I'd probably want the starting frame to be. Let's press play. And don't worry about this. This will be looking clean in the render. But yeah, that's looking pretty good. Let's pause this. There's just one thing that I'm concerned about that I may have forgotten is collision. Yes, I want to turn on self collision, which I think is super important. We can delete bake. Make sure self collision is turned on. And that's the main thing. If you want to increase the quality, that's also not a bad idea, but I think everything else is fine. We can just also, one more thing. We can also make it a dynamic mesh. And let's bake it in. In this case, I'm going to bake all dynamics. And I'll see you after this bake, and I'll render it out. But I think we're done now. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.